The mind and body problem is really the relationship between the mind and the body, or in other words, the mental state and the physical state. Here are the different positions one can take on the mind and body problem.
Identity theory is a kind of materialism developed as a reaction to work in psychology and the physical sciences. It essentially boils down to these statements. 1. Minds are identical to brains. 2. Mental states are identical to brain states. 3. The realm of the mental is a subset of the realm of the physical. One identity theorist, Smart, claimed that it ought to be a strict identity statement. By this, he meant that the mind and brain refer to exactly the same thing. For example, if minds are identical to brains, then brains are identical to minds. An example of an unstrict identity statement would be something along the lines of rain is identical to bad weather, but weather could be rain, sleet, snow, etc.
Substance dualism states that there are two fundamentally different types of entities: material substances, or bodies, and mental substances, or minds. Material substances extend into space and do not contain any thought. On the other hand, mental substances have thought but do not have any form of extension into the physical world. Substance dualism claims that minds do not depend on bodies to exist, meaning that minds can exist separated from the body. Material and mental substances exist independently. If mind and body can exist apart from each other, then our souls can survive the death of our body.
Property dualism says that the world consists of one substance, which is physical. Substance consists of physical and non-physical properties. Physical properties are heights, mass, spatial locations, charge, and energy, any property that can be detected. Non-physical properties are mental states, thought, feelings. An example is God. Divinity can't be detected. Take the brain, for example. You can measure a brain's mass, you can see its color, you can measure its height. Those are all physical properties. But the mind, which is said to be contained in the brain, does not have color, it's not measurable, and neither are your thoughts. Your mind, which is non-physical properties, controls your brain, which are physical properties, all consisted in one physical substance. Your mind makes conscious decisions and choices that move your body. This form of dualism also believes that a mental property, like your mind, cannot be reduced to a simple physical state.
Functionalism is a theory involving mental states. Mental states are not so much what the brain is made of, but what they can do or cause. This makes it so that a human, or an animal, or something else entirely can have the same mental state. Mental states can affect both external behaviors or beliefs about a certain thing. If we think about mental states and the brain as using inputs and outputs, we may see this more clearly. For example, if I slept 3 hours last night, my mental state, or input, may be sleepy or cranky. This may lead to an output of falling asleep during a class or snapping at a friend. Mental states can be affected by external stimuli. In this case, a loud noise in my house at night may cause me to want to stay awake. Staying awake will lead to no sleep, and so on.
Behaviorism is being in a mental state, which is the same thing as being in a physical state. Since all that we can know about another person's state of mind is through their behavior, there is nothing else. So if someone is in a mental state, there is a physical state that is portraying that exact mental state. If none of these things were present, the behaviorist would argue that the person is not really in the mental state that they claim to be in. Emotions aren't always accompanied by extravagant outward signs, but even quieter forms of emotional or mental state must be translatable into some form of physical condition. For instance, if someone is in the mental state of being happy, the physical state that would correspond with that would be smiling. Or for another example, if someone is embarrassed, their cheeks turn red and rosy.
Out of all the different positions of the mind and body problem, we decided to talk mainly about and discuss functionalism and behaviorism. Functionalism seems believable. The idea of having an initial mental state and an input, which is an external behavior, and an output, which is a personal reaction to the external behavior, makes sense, but functionalism is not universal to all people. The black and white Mary example directly goes against the position of functionalism. Mary studied and studied about the outside world and its sensations, but never has experienced them. Once put in the real world, she might see an object that is supposed to have a certain color and automatically assumes that the object must be the color that she had associated it with. She was never in any normal initial state of seeing the color, but trusted her learned observations. Her judgment was a mindless judgment based off of knowledge from a book.
On the other hand, behaviorism captures the relationship between the mental and physical states better than any other position. Every mental state has a natural reaction, which is the physical state. This is a studied and proven claim. A behaviorist would argue that everyone is in some mental state and has some physical state that is shown. There is no deception. If someone is upset and acts happy, they are technically displaying a correlating reaction. They are heavily applying a happy tone, which can be meant as mimicking or an act of frustration. Behavior is inevitable, and paired with the correct state of mind, take this example, you are initially in an angry state of mind. Your reaction is to clench your jaw, and then you decide to control your state of mind and change your reaction. By changing your reaction to the stimulus, you are changing your mental state. Both states depend and are affected by each other. No matter how talented you are at hiding your emotions, mental states, you are still giving off a response to the mental state that is unique to you. Acting like nothing is wrong is your physical reaction to your mental state.